So the NFL draft is coming on the 29th. And yes, I'm going to do a mock draft. I'm going to do the Unpopular Podcast is going to do a mock draft. I'm probably going to drop it on the 28th, which is the Wednesday before the draft. I don't like doing, I know a lot of sports podcasts and sports shows like do multiple mock drafts, and I have nothing against them at all. No, y'all do y'all thing. I love the content that y'all are putting out. Do your thing. I just don't want to do a whole bunch of mock drafts. It's just not me. I'm gonna do one, and I'm gonna do it as close to the draft as possible. And I'm not gonna do them trades and nothing like that, because that is one thing that's unpredictable in the draft. So, but why am I saying this? Because I'm hearing a lot of dirt being thrown on Justin Fields' name. Now, it's crazy, man. This always happens. And when we talk about black quarterbacks, they always get unfairly scrutinized. They always get unfairly nitpicked. And they always get, they always get put in a category that they don't deserve to be in. And they also always get put in a category that they've outplayed. And what do I mean by that? Let's go back to Lamar Jackson, the most recent one that I can think of. Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson won a Heisman. He was the only thing that Louisville had. All year they were praising Lamar Jackson of how great he was and how transcendent of a player he is. Hell, he's one of a few quarterbacks whose primary skill is running with the ball. He's one of a few to win the Heisman. That's how great he was. The last time I can think of a quarterback who was that great, especially at running the ball, was probably Johnny Manziel. Well, no. He wasn't as good as Lamar. Maybe Cam. But then the draft came, and the combine came, and the scouts, and all of a sudden you started hearing, well, he's not good enough to be a quarterback. His work ethic is horrible. They don't know if he wants it or not. He should switch to wide receiver. I don't know if he can. The famous one that we always hear is, I don't know if he can develop, memorize a playbook, because they don't do it in college like that. Yet and still, this is the same Lamar Jackson that gave Clemson, Deshaun Watson and Clemson a run for their money, that won a Heisman. But you can give him a Heisman. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He can deserve a Heisman. He can work his ass off for a Heisman. But once it comes to draft, you have all these nitpicks, and that's one big reason why he fell. You look up today, Lamar Jackson is one of a few players that won unanimous MVP. He is the lifeline for Baltimore. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Yet and still, they nitpick the hell out of him. And they did it with a lot. And what I hate is, and I'm gonna get to my point in a second, but what I hate is the quarterback. The reason why they still do this is that there have been quarterbacks that have proved them right, like Jamarcus Russell. You know what I mean? Jamarcus Russell's work ethic was horrible. We all know about the infamous blank CD or blank tapes story. If you don't, look it up. But African American quarterbacks get unfairly questioned, unfairly scrutinized, unfairly critiqued. A whole hell of a lot more than white quarterbacks. Hell, and now I'm going back to my point. Justin Fields, all I heard throughout the college season was Justin Fields. This is probably the best Ohio State quarterback that they've had. And this is the same Ohio State that had J.T. Barrett, who was incredible in college, that had Dwayne Haskins, who was cool and good in college, that had Cordell Patterson, Cordell Patterson, I believe. No, it's Cordell something. Whatever. They had him as a quarterback. All I'm hearing is this could arguably be the best quarterback there. This is the same quarterback that beat the Clemson and Trevor Lawrence, who's going to be the number 1 overall pick. This is the same quarterback who took a team that was struggling in the beginning of the year, by the way, took them all the way to the national championship. While they didn't win, they took them all the way to the national championship. It's the same quarterback that they come out and say that he's not good with his number 1, like he's not good going to his second and third option. But then the stats show that he was the number 1 quarterback at going to his second and third option. The thing that I don't like is this. Is Justin Fields going to get drafted? Yes. Justin Fields has been too good not to be drafted. But that does not mean, and it's not fair to him, that even in him being drafted, he's still I don't understand. I do understand, because it's the game that they play, man. But how is it that now that you're talking in the draft, you're talking about his work ethic? Like the guy the Justin Fields who improved from the year before to now, who improved drastically and took a team to the national championships, work ethic is bad, especially when you had to deal with everything that you had to deal with the pandemic and is the conference going to play? Is the conference not going to play? Are we going to play this week? Is the game going to get canceled? Does one of our teammates have COVID? Or does one of the teammates on the other team have COVID? You had to deal with all that, and you're telling me his work ethic is bad? All I'm saying is this, man. I'm not saying Justin Fields is the best quarterback, right? I'm not saying that Justin Fields should go number 1. I think Trevor Lawrence deserves to be number 1. But what I'm saying is, I don't see how scouts and teams, I do understand, because teams, I guess they don't have time to watch college football, but I don't understand how you can't turn on the tape. And now you're over here talking about you're over here talking about you don't know if he has a desire to play, or if his work ethic is good. But there's people that you have over him that have off the field issues, multiple off the field issues, but those never get brought up. Justin Fields has no off the field issues, but he has all these on the field issues. But he took a team to the national championship, a team, by the way, that destroyed the number 1 overall pick in Trevor Lawrence and Clemson. They beat they beat the brakes off them. Yet and still, you still question. And this is and he got hurt that game. He got hurt, and everyone in the world, including myself, was like, "Yeah, nah, he's done, bro. He's not playing. He's not playing." Yet and still, he came back limping around, grimacing the whole game after that, and still put up at least 5 touchdowns. And you're talking about you don't know if his work ethic is strong enough and if he has the grit to play a quarterback position. You know what? I do love this though. I love when a quarterback. I love when a quarterback's able to prove them wrong. I love watching the videos of Lamar Jackson sitting there. And don't get me wrong, while we all praise the Ravens passed him the first time. Like, I love seeing him sitting there and then he get drafted and now boom, unanimous MVP. They talked about Patrick Mahomes saying his decision making was bad. Wow, he doesn't have they said his decision making was bad at Texas Tech and he was only good because of the system that he ran. This is the same Patrick Mahomes who's arguably the greatest. Well, a lot of people right now are putting him in top 5 greatest ever. This is like, now this is Justin Fields. I would love to see Justin Fields go to a great organization, man. I would love to see, and it's just, it just, we've talked about it before, man, but it's just the way that you view African American quarterbacks, the way that you view African American players is crazy. How the only time the African American players are really seeked after is if they play wide receiver on the defense side of the ball or running back. But when they talk about quarterback, they have all these mental evaluation that they have to do. Yet and still, they don't say anything about some quarterbacks that have DUIs, and they don't say like think about that, man. Think about that. Think about you heard so much stuff about Lamar Jackson before he got drafted. And he had no off the field issues, and he dropped. Johnny Manziel had every off the field issue you could think of and still got drafted higher than he should have. And you see what happened there. So I wish nothing but the best for Justin Fields. I hope that he gets drafted high. Again, I'm gonna do my mock draft. I'm probably gonna drop it on the 28th. But yeah, it's just something that I've seen. This all this week, I've heard, or all the last few weeks, I've heard nothing about Justin Fields keeps falling because his work ethic, or they don't think his arm strength, or he's not good throwing to the second or third option, or he holds the ball a little too long, or his decision in the pocket is questionable. The same Justin Fields that just made it to the freaking national championship. While they didn't win, I don't know how many people in the country would have won against that Alabama team. But hey, it is what it is, I guess.